I'm the oldest of five, born in 7 years. So we're all very close in age. And from the very time that I was very young, my mother would always say, Kathleen, you have to take care of your brothers and sisters. You're the oldest. So as long as I can remember, I've been a caretaker. I never really wanted to do anything but teach. It's really it's all I can ever remember wanting to do. Early childhood is not a well-paying field. To stay in this field has required sacrifices not only for me personally, but my husband, my 4 kids. They had to make a lot of sacrifices growing up. Money was tight and resources were slim, and they made the sacrifices right along with me. Most people in early childhood especially, but a lot of people in education in general, are working second jobs. I know one of our teachers drives Uber, another one works at a pharmacy, so they're working second jobs. But we're still, even though we're struggling to pay our own bills, carrying bags of stuff in with them to provide for the students that we have. Those kids, every single day, they're the ones that keep me going, they're the ones that keep me coming back. I am Alice. Asset, limited, income, constrained, employed. When we had our kids, we were very, very young. I mean, we were really young when we got married, and we were very young when the kids were born. And we were very optimistic that it was all going to work out and everything would be fine. We got a bill right after my son's heart surgery for $88,000. Had a panic attack, and then started making phone calls. And they're like, well, the insurance company said that it wasn't covered. And, so then I went through battles, arguing back and forth. On top of the additional expense of going for all of these, there was the expense of now my paycheck is smaller than I thought it was going to be. And when you're trying to pay them all off, everybody wants payment now. So I'm like, you get $1, you get $1, you get $5, and I'll just keep doing this until it's paid off or I die. One of the two things happens. We had been struggling, but getting through. And that year is kind of the year that everything fell apart, and we never did get back from it. We tried. We were gonna lose the house. I'm like, nope, we're done. So that's when I finally went through with it and declared bankruptcy. It was our last resort. It was the only way we were gonna keep the house. So. My youngest son's senior year at Wilkes, his senior year financial aid disappeared. So my husband and I had to pay out of pocket for his senior year. We couldn't get any loans. We were completely and utterly tapped out at that point. Did everything we possibly could do to get that paid so that he could graduate on time. The last actual vacation I took that did not involve anything medical and anything to do with the kids was Niagara Falls. And we're coming up on our 30th wedding anniversary this November, so it's been 10 years. There's a lot of things we'd like to do. We just don't have the money to do it. So it waits. This is the reality of life today. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many jobs you work, if you don't fall into the very, very below where you can get assistance, or in the very upper tier where you can afford to live, you're struggling and you're swimming, and all it takes is one bad thing to happen and everything falls apart. And no matter how hard you work, you never get out of that hole. Never. It's hard to think that you've worked your entire life and have nothing to show for it. And I know that I do. I know I have a roof over my head, and a lot of people don't. And I have 4 kids who are great, great kids. So I realize that I am blessed, and I realize that I am fortunate, and more fortunate than a lot of people. But there are also days when I feel absolutely buried, and I feel like I'm drowning, because it just feels like I'm never gonna get out from under, and not worry about where the money's coming from and what we're gonna have to sacrifice in order to do it. I am Alice. I think there's a whole lot of people out there that are Alice and probably are afraid to admit that they're Alice. Don't give up, even though you feel like it. I frequently feel like it. But we've got to stick together, and more people have to start coming out. And it's hard to admit it. It's hard to admit that, you're struggling. No one's life is perfect. We've all got to be together, and we've all got to get together and demand that things change.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Ooh, that one just gets me every time. Welcome back to our Day of Giving. This is our Lunch and Learn, and we would like you to meet Alice. So that was just one of the stories about, yeah, Andrea, it is some like real stuff. There's a lot to be said about the Alice population, and we're going to be saying it today. So, um, welcome. We are in the middle of our Day of Giving. We are so excited to be sharing with you guys that we are almost halfway there, and it is lunchtime, baby. So now would be a perfect time to give. Just as a reminder, we do have a really cool sweepstakes that by the way, there's more than just Kathy O'Grady. I don't know. It looks a little frozen on our screen, but it does scroll, I promise. But we're also offering, we had a matching gift this morning with Service First. They're matching dollar for dollar every donation up to $2,000. So we've already hit that goal. Thank you to Service First, and thank you to all who've given so far. And we also wanted to mention that we have a Wise sweepstakes happening. So this is a 2-minute shopping spree. So for every donation you make, you're entered for a chance to win, and you get to run through the store, fulfilling a long childhood fantasy of mine. So just know that you're not only giving to a good cause, but you're also maybe going to be filling your basket with a lot of goodies and your household essentials. So that'll put you in the running for that. So, as I said, this is our Day of Giving. So, what would the Day of Giving be without the opportunity to give? So, give now. We do have the opportunity for you to double your impact again at 6 p.m. So, not that I'm advocating for waiting, but if you want to double your impact at 6 p.m., Wise is also going to help us finish strong with a $500 match. So thank you to Wise for them, and thank you to them for the sweepstakes. But you should have a link in your chat that you can click on, and it'll take you to our donation link where you can give today. The best part, too, is that you can give to any of our impact areas that we'll be talking and sharing about today. So we shared about our health and wellness. So you met Sarah Dobeck Troutman, our new behavioral and mental health director this morning. You also heard from Olivia Oden, United in Recovery director, and they provided updates. You can go to our event page and watch that live stream if you missed it. Some really wonderful things happening there. And also just what's happening with our community in terms of mental health and the opioid crisis. So definitely worth the watch if you haven't already. And today at noon, which we're doing right now, is we're doing a lunch and learn on Alice. So this is really our financial stability and emergency needs impact area. So if this really speaks to your heart, this really is something that you can, it just echoes true to you and where you would like to see your dollars supporting our community. Please donate to our impact area, the financial stability and basic needs impact area at that donation link. So now that we've gone through all of the fun admin, I'd love to bring in Adrienne and Meg. So they should be joining us in just a moment. Hi, Meg. Hi, Adrienne. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves so that folks can know who you are?
Megan, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Baer. I serve as the Chief Executive Officer for Central Susquehanna Opportunities.
And my name is Adrienne Mail, and I'm the President and CEO of Susquehanna Valley United Way.
Welcome, Adrienne. This is your second go around with us today. So glad to have you back. And Meg, oh, that's my coffee. We were up early and up late, so my coffee pot just decided to chime in as well. But Meg, we are going to actually be hearing from you about the recent community assessment. So, before we kick that off, did you have anything else that you wanted to share about your role and like your work with the United Way?
I just am so excited and encouraged to see all the events happening today. I think it's a great opportunity to bring awareness to the needs of the families in our community. Some of the needs we're very familiar with, and I think there are areas of needs that people may not be expecting. So I just think today is a great day to really celebrate the strong partnerships in the region and the work that the United Way does to bring community partners together to really meet the needs of each community. So thank you so much for inviting me to be here today.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead, Adrienne, and I'll just start sharing the presentation and then we'll bring you back at the end. We would love to offer to the audience who's watching at home the opportunity to do some question and answer with you, Meg and Adrienne, at the end of this presentation. So if anyone has questions, please jot them down or throw them into the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the Meg's presentation. So if you have questions while it's happening, be sure to put it in the comments and we'll get to it at the end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like our slides are up, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to talk today about community action agencies and also specifically the community needs assessment. I'm here today representing CSO, but also Union Snyder Community Action Agency. Sue Allman was not able to join us today, so I'll be sharing information for both agencies. So first, I just wanted to make sure everyone has a good understanding of what community action agencies are and understand the network that we're a part of. Community action agencies were started up for one purpose, and that was to reduce the impacts of poverty in local communities. So community action agencies work to create pathways to self-sufficiency and empowerment through programs, services, and support. Community action agencies serve the communities by connecting individuals and families to services that will help them succeed. We also work at the community level to address broader issues and help to bring community partners together, to work with other local leaders to really address poverty at the root causes in each community. One of the things that is unique about community action is it is a nationwide network. So every county in the nation has a community action agency that is providing services to that county. Community action agencies are vastly different, though. And the reason for that is each community action agency is tasked with serving the needs of their local community. And so the needs in Northumberland County are very similar, but slightly different than what you would see in Snyder County. And so while Union Snyder and CSO offer very similar services, they are delivered differently. And you would see that across any community action agency in the nation. The reason for that is the local level control to deliver services that are directly needed in each community. So the way that community action agencies determine what the need is through a process called the Community Needs Assessment. This process is undergone by each community action agency every 3 years to determine what the needs are locally within the communities that they serve. CSO's last community needs assessment was completed in 2021. And so by the end of 2024, we'll be releasing our next community needs assessment. It really is an ongoing process, though, to really hear feedback from our community partners, from the families we serve, from our staff. What are the needs and challenges that families in poverty are facing in each of the local communities? You'll be hearing a lot more from CSO about this in the coming months. We're getting ready to really embark on getting into very heavily into our community needs assessment. There will be opportunities for the community to complete surveys, to join some focus groups. The more voices that we hear from with our community needs assessment, the stronger it is. So we're really looking to make sure that we hear from everyone about what they see as the needs in the local community. As the information is collected, it's compiled into a report, and that report is used to designate what the highest needs are in the community, or even in different sectors of the community. So what the greatest need is in Shamokin for CSO may look different than what the needs are in the Milton area. So we really drive it down to that level of detail, again, with the intent of making sure that our services meet the needs of the local community. Once the community needs assessment is developed and released, we use that information to educate the community about what the needs are, but we also use it to drive our service delivery. So in a few slides, I will talk to you about what CSO's top 5 needs are from their community needs assessment, and then show you the direct alignment to the services that we offer. So just some more background on CSO, Central Susquehanna Opportunities. We are the community action agency for Columbia, Montour, and Northumberland counties. We also provide workforce development services in the 9-county Central Region Workforce Development Area in partnership with the Pennsylvania CareerLink system. And our mission is to provide opportunities, empower families, and strengthen communities. So the slide that you're viewing now is showing you the top 5 needs that were identified in our last community needs assessment, which was completed in 2021. And I can tell you that these 5 needs have remained consistent over the last number of community needs assessment. These are, I'm sure no one is surprised to see that the top 5 needs listed here. They're the biggest challenges that families in poverty are facing in our communities. The first one is developing difficulty finding and maintaining safe, decent, and affordable housing. Food insecurity is the second one. The third one is trouble paying utility bills. Budgeting and managing money is the 4th need area. And the 5th one is lack of transportation. So as we are looking at our services and our service delivery, when we review and plan for each year, those are the service areas that we're working to address with our funding. This slide shows you a list of services that we offer at CSO. You will see a lot of them, they're all directly linked to the top 5 need areas. In the last number of years, we've really increased our housing services. We've obtained some additional funding to help individuals that are homeless or facing homelessness, to help in the housing sector. Food services is also really growing greatly in the last year or so. The need for food and nutrition, we have just seen a real significant increase in that area. One of the things that Community Action does is helps to meet those basic needs. By providing, if someone walks in our door, if they need food, if they need hygiene products, if they're homeless, they're getting those urgent needs met that day. But we also provide comprehensive case management for individuals to help them really set goals and plans for their families. And then we walk with them as they work to achieve those goals. So someone may come in with an emergency situation of, facing their electric being turned off. We'll meet that need, but then we also, if the family's interested, will provide more intensive support. And that option is always there. Sometimes families will come back to us for 3 or 4 emergency situations before they're ready to accept case management help. Our door is always open. And so I think case management is really the cornerstone of our services, because that's the comprehensive whole family approach that works with every individual in that household to make sure that their basic needs are met so that we can work with them on planning for their future of working towards self-sufficiency. Through our CareerLink partnership, we offer a number of programs We have an in-school youth program that's working directly in local high schools to provide job readiness and career awareness. We also have a UC navigation program that's about a year old, and that program helps individuals that are working through the process of filing for unemployment, helping them with providing support, technical support with the computer system, also helping them, just to navigate through that complicated application process. UC Navigation is offered in the Pennsylvania Career Links and also out in the communities where people are. We also offer a variety of workshops through the Pennsylvania Career Links. Also, just through CSO, we offer some financial literacy workshops. We have a Link Mobile Career Center that takes Pennsylvania Career Link services out into the communities that don't have a physical PA Career Link office. And then within the Career Links, we offer case management, job search assistance, help with training, on-the-job training. We're a full partner in the Pennsylvania Career Link. One of our newer services is reentry services. We have received some funding to provide reentry services in Northumberland County. You didn't see reentry on our community needs assessment results, but that was an area of need that we were seeing in the community, seeing high rates of recidivism of individuals leaving prison only to be returning quickly back because they didn't have the resources they needed to be successful out in the community. And so that program is one that we started in 2020, and we have seen that grow significantly as the needs in that area continue to increase. It's one of the things about community action is we're always adjusting our services and really working to meet the needs. So if there's an unmet need in the community, we're working to secure funding to meet that need. And this is the slide of information for Union Snyder. Their mission is very similar to ours, and that is to reduce poverty in Union and Snyder counties through self-sufficiency initiatives for families and individuals in collaboration with their community partners. Union Snyder Community Action envisions a future where all residents of Union and Snyder counties have equal opportunity to reach their full social, civic, and economic potential. So the next slide will show you the Union Snyder Community Action Agency current needs assessment. This one is structured a little bit differently than the list that I showed you for CSO's community needs assessment. You will see a lot of the same need areas listed on this slide. And you can see under the immediate community focus, Union Snyder has identified as their top priorities affordable housing and homelessness, transportation, and food costs. But then they're continuing to work in all those other areas, either through direct service or through partnerships with other organizations in the community. The next slide has an overview of services that are available through Union Snyder. You will see, again, it's very similar to what we offer at CSO. Union Snyder also offers housing assistance, energy, transportation. They do some employment skills training. They also have that service navigation or case management component that's so important to helping families move towards self-sufficiency. So that's an overview of our current services and our current community needs assessment. As I mentioned, our last community needs assessment was completed in 2021. So I wanted to share a little bit of what we're seeing currently today and the needs of our customers. I do anticipate that the results of our community needs assessment when released at the end of next year will look a little bit differently than what I presented for our current one. I would say, one of the challenges that we're seeing and the challenges our customers are facing are transitioning out of the COVID-related supports. During COVID and for a number of years following COVID, there was a lot of funding available for families related to food and housing, and we're starting to see that those supports are going away. Currently in Northumberland County, we still have the ERAP Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It's also available in Montour County. That program has ended in Columbia County. And so as counties exhaust their funding for that emergency rental program, that program is going away. And so families that haven't had to pay rent for sometimes up to 18 months are now going to be faced with the situation where they're going to be accountable for paying rent again. When in March, when the emergency SNAP payments ended, we saw a significant spike in the need and requests for food in our counties. We heard from families that lost hundreds of dollars in SNAP food payments. They received it in February and did not receive it in March. And so as these families are working to adjust to these changes, again, I'm just going to highlight our case management. That's where those services are so helpful for families. We're actually sitting down with families, looking at their budget, looking at their expenses, helping them set goals for themselves to work towards self-sufficiency. We know that families living in poverty face so many challenges. And sometimes the biggest need they have is just someone to be in their corner and to walk with them and support them and help them kind of break down all of the, the stress and the burden of just day-to-day life and look at how to plan for a different future. And that's really what Community Action does. And we're so blessed to have a great network of local partners that walk with us in this work. We certainly cannot do it alone. And so we're so very thankful for everyone that comes alongside of CSL and our customers and works with us as we help families navigate towards self-sufficiency. So that is the end of my slideshow. I'll take any questions or would love to hear from anyone else in the audience about what they're seeing.
So Sarah's mentioning that the empowerment of the case management work is so important. Adrian, do you have any questions perhaps for Meg to kick things off?
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, I think you probably saw the video, which is at the beginning almost a little hard to watch, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering how that resonated with you and if you're seeing that play out in our communities.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that stuck out to me most was when she was talking about the idea of not taking a vacation. And, that's something that until I started this work, I didn't really think about. I take for granted that I took a vacation this summer. In my head, I'm already planning where we're going to go next year. And, for families in poverty, they don't have that luxury. They're planning what they're going to eat for dinner tonight, how they're going to pay their rent this month. And so that idea of vacation, every time I hear that, it just really strikes me. It's one of the kind of informal performance indicators we track at CSL when we're working with a family and they come in and tell us they've planned a vacation. That's a huge win for us and for them because we know that their basic needs are met. They're able to plan for the future. One of the things we talk about when in poverty work is the tyranny of the moment, that you're so held captive by just minute by minute decisions that are crisis that you need to make, that the families we work with sometimes don't have that opportunity to look to the future, to plan for their children, for themselves. And so, as we're working with people, giving them space to breathe, to take a break and to say, okay, let's sit down. What could this look like for you? It's such a motivator for families. And when we hear, I could talk about that all day. It was so powerful. I think it was a great video. Kathy from that video, I think was her name. She walks through our doors every day. There are thousands of Kathys in our community that are struggling, trying to do the best that they can for themselves and their families. And through no fault of their own, they're not making it. They need help. That's why the United Way's Day of Giving is so important, because it supports this work across the communities in all of the various sectors. It's housing, it's food and nutrition, the things that CSO provides. It's also mental health education, all of these things have to come together for us to support these families in need.
Yeah, that is so well said. And I know I was just thinking about, she was talking about those hospital bills that came in, and knowing that a lot of agencies aren't open at night. So I was just thinking, if these childcare workers and so many other people, including myself for a really long time, are working 2 jobs, when is the calls to the hospital? Could they even be happening? When is trying to navigate whether you're eligible for anything happening? Trying to navigate the system is almost a full-time job in itself. It's why we have healthcare navigators and intensive caseworkers. And I just really felt her, and just how exhausted we are all. I'm sure everyone who's listening today is at the end of the day and thinking about having to go to another job after that, or drive an Uber.
Yeah.
Do you have perhaps a story or a client that you've worked with that you would be able to share as as a success story, as like someone who's gone through your case management and has maybe come out on the other side?
Yeah, we have a number of success stories. The one that's most recent in my mind is very near and dear to our hearts, and you'll hear why when I get to the end of her story. We had a customer in our EARN program at the Career Link in Sunbury, who the EARN program is the TANF employment and training program. So for individuals receiving TANF benefits, they're mandated to attend training. And so we had a customer, Jasmine, who was in that program during COVID. And so services were virtual. She, though, through that was committed. Sometimes people come in through your doors or onto your Zoom, depending on how services are being delivered. And you can just tell they have a spark. Like they're determined, they're going to take full advantage of your help and make it work. And Jasmine was one of those individuals. She ended up actually doing what's called a paid work experience at CSO, which is a temporary opportunity for people to get out in the community and to go to work, get paid a minimum wage, but she was earning money. She was gaining work experience. And I remember I would ride up in the elevator with Jasmine some mornings on my way to work. And, initially her head was kind of down. She would kind of mumble, "Good morning." But we saw the potential in Jasmine. We had a position that opened up in our ERAP program, and she applied and was awarded the position. And so I continued to work with Jasmine now as a coworker. And I can remember just the change of her in the elevator. I remember the first morning I saw her, she just looked different. Her head was up. She was smiling. She had her cup of coffee and she was ready to go. And that, that's just so powerful to see. And so Jasmine currently still works at CSL. To me, that is community action in a nutshell. It's taking people, lifting them out of poverty, and now she's giving back to community, to the people that were in her shoes, just a year ago. It's just really, really powerful to see.
I think that's one of the things that I love working at the United Way, and I think is very much echoed in the work of the community action agencies. But it's not just about, donating to like put money towards just the immediate fix. It's about investing in programs, investing in people, so that they are developed and given the tools to lead a life of stability. Like that is one of the core tenets of like the programs that we want to infuse with money, that we're raising funds for. Why we value our partnerships so much within the community is that it's about empowering our community to live their best life. And we can do that together, because when we're uplifting, it's like one boat, when the tide comes in, all boats rise, with the saying of like, when we lift each other up, like all boats rise. Someone help me with the metaphor. I've totally lost the plot, but
rising tide floats all boats.
There we go. So that being said, like, I love that, we're about working with people who are doing those programs and not necessarily like reinventing the wheel, but making sure people know about those programs and sending people to those programs to get those resources as they need.
Yeah. And I love that we do it in collaboration with such amazing organizations. And Megan, I'm just wondering, I don't know what you can and can't share, but I know that you have just been doing incredible work at the Community Action Agency, and you have an incredible counterpart at Snyder Union as well. Are there any exciting updates coming out of CSO in the next couple of months that you can share with the group?
Well, we're really working in the space of food right now, food and nutrition, as I mentioned. There's just such a need. And so we're doing a couple of things. Some of them I can share, and some I'm not quite ready to share yet. We're really working to pull partners together. Northumberland County is working to join the Union Snyder Hunger Coalition, which is a group of interested and like-minded organizations, growers, just community individuals that are working to help meet the needs and distribute food within the community. So that's going to be a huge collaboration for us. Bringing in those partners, now we'll have 3 counties working together strategically to address the hunger needs. We're hoping to expand that type of partnership into Columbia Montour in the coming year or so. We're also really working closely with the Central PA Food Bank, which has just been a fantastic partner. We're working on doing some hunger mapping in Union, Snyder, and Northumberland counties to look at currently where people are, coming from that are receiving food, what food banks they're going to, how often they're attending, looking at, are people crossing county lines? We know they are. Where are the gaps? Where can we fill in the needs so that people don't have to travel to get food? Our focus in the coming year is going to be really looking at healthy and nutritious foods. We want to make sure that families that are going to food banks, to food distributions, are not just getting those shelf-stable products, which are so critical to meeting the need for hunger, but also really getting access to healthy and fresh produce. We are working on a new project that we'll be able to share with everyone in the coming month or so. But the intent of it is to get food out into the community, into those communities that don't have robust food distribution programs, really taking services to where the need is in the communities.
I've just been so impressed by the work that you're doing and the collaborations and partnerships that you've been able to build. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, just watching how many unbelievable people we have all working to make this community an amazing place to be, even though there's still a lot of work to do. And I will also just mention that a lot of the work that we do at United Way is, trying to get funding out to organizations in a number of different ways. We are lucky enough to be a sub-recipient on a IRS tax grant with Wyoming Valley's United Way that is terrific and actually does pretty much all of the application for us. And this year we identified that CSO has been doing tax returns, and it's at no cost to the client, but they were doing it at cost to themselves for all of these years in Northumberland County. And we were able to get small to start, but mighty, some grant money extended. So our volunteer tax program will now include Northumberland County, and we'll be able to get some money to them to say thank you, and here's a little for this tremendous program that you're bringing to the community. So although it's always, we wish it was more money, I think that it's a great place for United Way to say, like, hey, you're doing this for free, and could we help you just a little bit? And one success story of being able to now work alongside Megan and their volunteer tax program. And Union Snyder has an IRS tax grant actually themselves. So now all 5 of our counties are covered under these grants, and we're able to really bolster the and market this program to individuals who need it.
Well, I think that we're about at time. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us today and for sharing about the work that you're doing and the services that you provide. We are just so grateful for the work that you're doing in the community and the impact that you're having. And we're so proud to be partnering with you on a lot of these initiatives. So thank you. And I would love for you to finish the sentence as we say goodbye, which is, I stand united in purpose for, so just finish that sentence for us.
For strengthening families and communities.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Megan. Have a wonderful rest of your day,
Thank you.
and we'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
So,
So, Adrienne, thank you for sticking around and joining us for our next segment. We introduced this live stream with a video about meeting the face of Alice, meeting Kathy, who is part of the Alice households in Pennsylvania and one of the faces of Alice. So you're going to be sharing with us now about Alice and who and what they are.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I know that everyone, I think that video does such an unbelievable job of explaining Alice and what it is. But actually, this Alice work is happening across the nation now, and it's happening in a couple of different ways. But I think that at least 33 states at this point are doing this Alice work. And our data and research for Alice, Pennsylvania, is coming from United Way of Pennsylvania, which is an affiliate just like us of Worldwide, but they're our state hub, and they do incredible work. So several years ago, they really invested in this Alice platform. We all bought in and were able to do the research so that we have this Alice data across Pennsylvania, but also for each of our local communities. So by following the links, you can learn more about all of this and more in-depth data from each of our local communities. How many families are Alice? How many families are living in true poverty below that Alice threshold as well? But this year, we really talked a lot about making sure that individuals understand who they are helping when they give to United Way, and then through United Way, all of our partner agencies. Who are these dollars supporting? And many of our nonprofit organizations do work in basic and emergency needs. So that's keeping people safe and secure in their homes. That's people who call and say, I'm at risk of eviction. I'm currently unhoused. So there are some great organizations that do that work in our community, the Community Action Agency, who we just heard from, being one of them. But there's a growing population of people, especially post-pandemic, who fall into this Alice category. And I think probably a lot of people listening can identify themselves in this, because it's really, they're saying 39% of the population, but we're really looking at close to 50% of Pennsylvanians who are either in emergency need or who fall into this Alice category. So Alice stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. So really what we're talking about here is individuals who are working, but whose take-home pay really is only enough to possibly cover their basic expenses, although we'll see in the next slide that sometimes that's not even the case. And so what that means is that people are working hard. Oftentimes, both individuals, if there are two individuals in the household that are of working age, are working. Sometimes there's even 3 or 4 jobs happening within a household, but still it's not enough to meet basic expenses. And in our community, we know, and housing continues to be identified as one of the biggest needs. We do not have affordable housing, and we certainly do not have enough affordable housing, houses or rentals in our communities to meet the needs of our community members. So it's really a huge issue, and we have many people who are paying more than 50% of their take-home pay just to be housed, which is really way above any type of national standard that we would look for. So this is a group of people who, when a car breaks down, when there's a hospital bill, any type of unexpected expense, but we know they're going to come up, when that happens, they are then automatically behind. And as you heard in that video, catching up is just not a possibility because they were always only making ends meet. There is no savings. People who are paying back student loans, all of these things really make your, average monthly expenses just what people are making. So this is a population of people within the United Way that we are very passionate about supporting, and many of our programs do support. So when you give to us and then we send that money to our funded partners, many of those organizations have scholarship programs or other subsidies to make sure that especially the children of these families are able to fully participate in all of the programming that their peers are able to participate in. So think about a community center or a YMCA, making sure that all of those families have the money, or through a scholarship program are still able to participate in those programs. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, making sure that, all of those badges and summer camps that we know we want kids participating in come at a real expense to families who are just making ends meet. So there are scholarship programs available at all of those to make sure that kids can still participate. Within the United Way, many of our programs are also meant to really support this population of people. Of course, the behavioral and mental health that we do, the substance use disorder prevention and intervention work that we do, and the revolving car loan is a great example of this as well. We see a lot of people who are working, but when their car breaks down, they're at risk of losing their job because they are just either their car really shouldn't be fixed, it's been fixed too many times, or they just can't make the repair. So sometimes we're able to do the repair, but then oftentimes what we're able to do is get them into the revolving car loan program so that they can then maintain their employment, which is really important to us. Danielle, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. So what we're seeing as well is that post-pandemic, through the pandemic, there was a lot of support for individuals, and that was really necessary. But the support in many aspects has ended, and especially due to inflation and some other things, people now are just really not making ends meet even more than before. And what you'll see right in the middle of the screen, which is why I always show this slide, is that it is estimated that 10% of every month, they just don't have the money to meet those extra 10% of needs. So every month they're 10% behind, which means truly, and as you saw again in the video, you get $1, you get $1, you get $5, they're getting constantly behind in their bills. And even if they're calling, organizations, unfortunately, they're making too much money to get any support. So hey, I'm doing a live stream. I will be with you in just a couple of minutes. I'm sorry. Sorry, my 1 o'clock is almost here. So basically what we're seeing is, just constantly behind. And, what can we do to help individuals? I think that, the case management that Megan described when she was talking about the work that she does, trying to help wherever they can, budgeting classes. Now, often budgeting classes are not going to help in this situation, but what can we do to make some change? And I think those are some really great ones that she mentioned. So that is Alice in a nutshell. And Danielle, I don't see any questions in the stream, but any questions, any thoughts?
Yes, I was thinking in terms of like who Alice is and their experience. One of the key identifiers that we use to figure out like what we are doing and the programs that we're investing in is this metric, is because this is a population that, correct me if I'm wrong, is it falls just above the federal poverty lines. So often the support that everyone's assuming they would have access to is out of reach because they are working. They're hardworking families that are working hard but aren't making ends meet but don't qualify for any support. So that's where we as an organization step in to fill the gap. So that is really, I think, something that really sets us apart, is that we're filling that gap for those 27 and like up to what I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Adrian, but it's 39% in some of our counties. And that's on top of the federal, the folks who are falling below the federal poverty line. So that's where you get that, like, it's more than 50% in some of our communities. So identifying this population and then specifically going after programs and working on, using the community needs assessment that Megan shared with us earlier, we're identifying where these people are falling through the cracks. So I think that what the term Alice means are the people who are falling through the cracks and aren't being talked about, because they are, as you saw from the video, Kathy is very proud. She's worked her whole life. Like, it's hard to admit I need help, but like we are seeing the trend of them not having savings and one disaster away from being devastated and not able to recover. So I think this perspective of Alice and who they are is critical in where we are both in our region, but as a, like as a broader term in our society of like there are some major gaps opening up for our working class individuals, and it just shouldn't be this hard, so it shouldn't. Working a full-time job should be enough. So I don't know if we have this readily available, but one of the things that has always stunned me was not like what is the federal, like what you need to make to qualify for assistance, but like what is a living wage? So like the concept of a living wage, would you mind kind of going over that with us? Because I feel like that's something that really shifted my perspective a lot.
Sure. So Um, that is actually, I'll say first, one of the great things about the Alice website that is, I think, connected on our website, but on the United Way of Pennsylvania, because it actually goes through in detail for each of our counties what, they call it, what kind of very, very like only basic needs, what you need. But then they also go through, kind of yes, you're paying for childcare and a more robust, what you need. And I think the way I'll answer your question, Danielle, is just to say that I know that we've all heard probably at this point about the benefits cliff, where for families that are getting subsidies, the amount that they need to make up for losing those subsidies is at this point probably close to $30 an hour. So that's really quite a lot of money. And so even when you see, the signs out now starting at $18 an hour, now starting at $23 an hour, and we wonder why people aren't jumping on board when you see those, those signs, because that seems like a good wage. It's not minimum wage, which is, under $8. It's people are getting very savvy and they know that that's not enough to make their ends meet. So I think, although I'm not even going to get into the reason that, we have this big employment gap at this point, I do think that that's part of the reason is, you really do need quite a lot of money to be meeting your basic needs at this point. And, I'll say too that I know I was actually so pleased to hear Megan from the Community Action Agency talking about how it's a win to see a family go on a vacation. I know there's a lot of comment about, oh, they're, don't have enough money for this, but they have a smartphone. Well, people don't have internet at home anymore. A smartphone is what connects you to, if you've got a kid, all of your kids' school information. If you need to apply for a job, I mean, we appreciate our local libraries and their computer banks, but do people have time to go? Do they have the transportation to go to a library at this point, to get on the computer, to, fill out applications? That, our phones are our pathway to the entire world. So people, it is a basic need at this point. So, I think just rethinking the way that we think about all of this is so important, and a big part of the reason that we're here. I think shining a light on this population of people and having some empathy, because I think many of us, if we're not there now, started out in this situation and think to ourselves, I remember when I worked 2 jobs. I remember when I looked at my bank account before I went into the grocery store and made my shopping list because I knew I couldn't go beyond my $50, which $50 doesn't buy you any groceries anymore either. So Danielle, pull me off. I feel like it's time to get the,
No, I'm following and nodding in fervent agreement, because I think this speaks to the work that we tackle. And Adrienne, I think this is also like, I love that you're speaking to this specifically because, it's complex. It's the cost of food, it's the transportation, it's not having internet access. It's all of these barriers that when in totality, it really undermines a whole group of hardworking individuals who, if given the right resources, would be incredible contributors to society and, giving in the best way possible and raising healthy kids. And, like that's a community. And so I think that, we try to pull the threads on the complexity of these issues as like one of our main focuses. So, they overlap, and it can get overwhelming, but that's why we do days like this. That's why we're right here raising awareness. We're asking for your support. I'm gonna put that donation link again. We're asking for your support today to support this population, to support people who are working hard and still not making the ends meet. And again, if this is a segment, a live stream, or an impact area that really speaks to you, you can allocate to this specific fund. So we have our different impact areas. This is our financial stability and emergency needs area. So allocate to this, and put your dollar towards what you want to see change in your community. So that I guess we'll leave it there. We're getting close to 1:00. So I did want to give an update quickly too of where we are with our fundraising efforts. We're nearly halfway there. So again, this is a 24-hour virtual fundraising event. We go until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. We have 2 more live streams happening this afternoon, one at 4 and one at 6. And at the 6 p.m., you'll have the opportunity to double your gift, match your gift again with $500 matching gift from Wise. Thank you to Wise, and thank you to them for our sweepstakes, our Wise sweepstakes offer. So lots of people to thank, lots of good being done. And as Sarah Dilbeck-Troutman mentioned this morning, it is daunting, but there are people fighting the good fight, and we are working towards solutions right here at home. So I find encouragement in that. So yeah, anything you want to add?
No, just thank you for all the work that you've done to make this day of giving such a success. Thank you to everyone listening, and I'm excited for the 4:00 session. It's going to be really great.
Yeah. So in conclusion, what do you stand united in purpose for, Adrienne?
I stand united in purpose, just again, to keep people safe and secure in their homes and continue meeting everyone's own definition of stability.
Love it. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you for participating in our live streams and engaging in the chat. We love to hear from you. So we'll see you again at 4 p.m. right here. We'll be talking about our education and mentorship piece, and there's a lot to unpack there. Some really great programs happening, so we can't wait to share. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.